Welcome back to Hematitehomestead, Homestead, another episode of growing things and giant pumpkins for 2022. I think we're on episode 6 now. I'm getting way behind on taking care of my garden. My tomatoes are all falling over. I have not been able to pay much attention to them, and I'm going to fix that today. So hang out with me and see how I hang my tomatoes and why I do not use this anymore. Some maintenance to do with the Underdog. And we're not going to go over and look at the 1167 LaRue today or the 1152 Caspers. We're going to focus over here with the Underdog. I got a lot of work to do there. The Underdog is, I'm losing the grass battle where it's growing. I got to get the deer netting off of its shade hut. It's trying to throw secondaries out through that. And let me get these tomatoes hung up and then we'll go over there and take care of that. All right, you can't hardly tell it now, but this is where I'm growing tomatoes. They are all right down this straight line here. And last year I used this trellis to grow a variety of melons and fall squash on it. And I grew the tomatoes over there in the arch trellis, and I decided that I was going to put the tomatoes over here this year. I tilled up this portion back this way, and I'm losing the weed battle on the inside. But my focus today is going to be to get the tomatoes tied up, and then I can worry about fighting the weed battle. All right, so what I plan on doing is anchoring the rope at the ground and taking it up to the top of the trellis here and tying it up there, and I'll show you how to do that. And last year I used jute string, which is this, and it's all natural. Hey, get out of there. It's all natural and biodegradable, which is great. The problem is for me that once it got wet, it wanted to start to biodegrade with my tomatoes hung on it. And we grew some awesome tomatoes last year that were 8 to 10 feet tall and just weighed way too much. The other thing is, you kind of see here, is the jute string is made out of really short, tiny fibers all twined together. And that makes it pretty weak for hanging. It might be okay for tying around a tomato stake, but not so good for hanging a vine. I have run out of all of my collected rainwater. I'm going to show you where this is coming from. And this is thanks to run electricity in the barn last weekend. It's hard to see in the dark. The creek is almost dried up. If we don't get some rain, it's going to completely dry. But as long as I got a little bit of flow through here, there's a nice little hole back here. Let's see if I get the light on it. There you go. That hole is about, I don't know, 7 or 8 inches deep probably. And I'm pumping water out of it, and it's really good looking clean water too. So hope we get some rain soon and fill this thing back up, fill up my water totes back up. Need it pretty bad. All right, so the procedure for me, instead of using jute, I'm using number 18 mason string. I choose pink because it's highly visible for me, easy to see. These are left over from building the house, and this is what goes into your concrete, and you tie your bottom plate on top of your center blocks. So I stick them in the ground like this all the way to here. I put a loop in the string and hang it on there, and then I'll run it over the top of the arch up here. Well, it's not an arch, of top of the trellis. And I wrap it a few times, and then I tie another loop in it and hang this big nut on it. And the reason I do that is to weigh it down a little bit, and I wrap it to give the string some room so that I can tighten it up, as sometimes these things will grow really heavy and they'll sag, and I can just come through here, unloop it, tighten it up a little bit, loop it back. All right, so I'll take the bolt and put it in the ground right behind the root and I'll put it in as far as I can get it. And I thought I would have a problem with these things staying in the ground, but I didn't last year when I used them. They worked out really good. And then I will take my string and I'll just double it up on the end and make me a little figure eight. Loop it over your finger. Come back around. And then pull it through the hole. This is called a figure eight knot. And it makes a loop on there. And that's one of my favorite knots to use, especially on the homestead. Usually when you're tying knots, you're trying to pull things or lift things up. And then I will just slip that over top of the end of the bolt. And there you go. All right, I got that part done. Now I'll just take it to the top of my trellis and pull it pretty tight. And I tie the nut on it, and this is like a 3/4 bolt nut. Just things we had laying around from when we built the house. All right, that's pretty tight. And that's why I like the mason string, because it's designed for laying blocks in a straight line. You pull it from one end to the other, get it really super tight. And I like it. All right, there's what it looks like in the end. I stripped it down, all the branches off of it, down near the bottom. I like to let them grow up bare for a couple of feet. And I expect this thing to grow all the way up the top of the trellis and probably go over the other side. I only do this with indeterminate plants. And you probably already know, but an indeterminate tomato means that this plant will continue to vine and continue to grow and continue to produce fruit as long as the weather allows it to. All right, there's the end result of my tomatoes up on the strings. You can kind of see that. And tomato clips. I just went through all my indeterminates. I got some golden boys and mortgage lifters and sweet 100s up there on the end. And it took me way longer than I thought it was going to. I got some weeding done. I got a lot of weeding left to do. But I need to get onto this Underdog and get it cleaned up and back in shape. So enough of tomatoes for today. All right, there is the Underdog, and as you can see, I am losing the grass battle, but I'm not going to win the grass war today, but I'm going to make a deep dive into here and win me a grass battle over top of this patch. First thing I got to do, I got the deer netting that we put in the hoop house to keep the chickens and turkeys and critters out of it. It is growing through there. Got a secondary punched right through it. I'm going to take this off, but down here I'm going to cut away around it because I'm afraid I'll damage this secondary if I just pull it off. So that's the first thing I got to do, and then I got to do some major grass extradition. I don't know how well you can see that. This secondary right here has come right through the deer netting right here. And I'm just going to cut the deer net away on the outside of it. And I forgot that I buried the ends of this like I did my plastic on the hoop houses on the big ones over there. Ouch. Ow. So I'm going to have to be careful about pulling that up. I picked up this awesome thing today, and I played with it a little bit when I got out here, and I absolutely love how it works. But this is so overgrown, and I don't want to risk damaging any rooting that's taking place. So I might pull all this by hand. I'll have to make that call momentarily. Let me just rescue this secondary from this deer net here. All right, there it is, free from all the deer net. I'm going to start in the back here. The grass and weeds not near as bad back here in the back as it is up towards front. I'm going to try and get all this cleaned out. Another problem I have is that the 400 house and this one are too close together, and I need them both, and secondaries are growing into each other in the middle. So when I get all this cleaned up, I'm going to try and pitchfork these secondaries back here into this area and get them away from each other. Also, this 68 haul was headed straight that way for the big trees down there in the pig pasture, and I needed to go this way, so I'm going to try. I already turned it on the tip up there, but depending on how it's rooted in, whether or not I try and do anything else with it, I'll have to wait and see when I get the grass out of it. My new friend, RC Cook from Heavenly Hills Homestead, him and his family came down this past weekend and picked up a new Cooney piglet. And I was telling him, he came out here and looked at these, and I was telling him that I've really neglected these. The two big ones over in the other patch have really gotten all my attention, and I need to try to not do that. But you know, so there's a lot to do, and sometimes that's the way it goes. So I'm gonna try and save it here. I mean, the plant looks nice. It looks way better than it did last year. Last year it didn't get but about 8 feet total from my Amazon seed, and right now it's every bit of 12 feet, and it's got nice leaf pattern. The leaves aren't huge, but for what the seed was, it's about what I expect. And it's already had 5 or 6 female pumpkins on it already, and I've plucked them all off because I'm not ready for that on this plant. There's one on the end of it right now, and I'm going to leave it for now and decide what to do with it after I get it all cleaned up. All right, have not got to the 400 house yet. My 68 pounder, the Underdog, looking much better. I still got to get the weeds from out of there, and I got a big pile up in the front here. I should be able to bring my tiller in here and till in front of all this tomorrow. I pitchforked the first 3 secondaries on both sides pretty aggressively to get them away from the 400 house, and then I did kind of a Christmas tree starting here up through here. I was not able to turn it much. It was pretty deeply rooted in the ground right about there, so I didn't want to disturb that. I did some heavy vine bearing, and looking way better than I did when I got over here a little bit ago. Well, I definitely have to focus on taking better care of it, that's for sure. All right, I got my shade cloth back on it. It's only on half of it because the sun is worse coming from this side first thing in the morning all the way up till about 1 o'clock or so. So I just want that to shade just a little bit, and primary shading the stump, and the rest of it seems to be doing okay. It gets a natural shade from the tree line over here in the afternoons. All right, don't forget to check out Heavenly Hills Homestead. Go over there, check them out on YouTube and see what RC's up to, going lots of giant stuff up there in West Virginia. And the 68 pounder, the Underdog. My goal for the Underdog this year was to get it to 500 pounds. Based off what I've learned from growing giant pumpkins just in the last few months and from mistakes last year, I think 200 pounds is more of a realistic goal for this plant. So that's what I'm going with. Can we get to 200 pounds? Hit that subscribe button and stick with us, and we'll find out. Thanks a lot for watching, and we will see you next time.